talking about all these things that would be important. And the scales, thirds, and arpeggios are important. Thank you. Hang on just a second. But these are the directions on how to get here. The scales, the scales, thirds, and arpeggios are good because what you're doing is you're teaching that part of your brain called the cerebellum to do these ballistic motions. Well, then you have to worry about your tongue. Now, our tongue is really an important part of what we do when we're playing. And we don't think about everything that the tongue does. I mean, we just say, oh, you can't tongue. Well, what does that really mean? Well, the front of the tongue works to stop the reed from vibrating, right? So what it does is it sits there, and when you want it to stop the reed from vibrating, it stops the reed from vibrating. Do you realize how intricate that is? Look at the side, at the tip of your reed and see where that has to touch. I mean, that's an incredible, learned thing. I mean, we hit in the wrong place and we squeak or we do something crazy. So that's really hard. The other part of your tongue is right here, in the middle of your tongue. And the middle of your tongue controls the sound quality. So you drop your tongue down. Any of you play jazz? Any jazz? Okay, well anyway. I was going to make a joke, but it's not. Anyway, you drop, that's what jazz players do. They'll drop their tongue down to get a fatter sound. And like I did, I played this concert this weekend, and I played the Columbus Pro Music Chamber Orchestra. We had a concert this weekend, but I missed the first rehearsal because I played Bernstein Prelude, Fugue, and Riffs with the jazz band that night. And don't even know that piece. You get to that note, your tongue is way down on your, and you're really getting that big fat sound. The back of your tongue back here controls your voicing, and that's when you're going for a high note or a low note, and you see the motion back there. Then that's what that's doing. So those are the three things that I felt needed to be worked on every day. I want to show you a couple of quick things here that have to do with the tongue. We're going to watch a movie. Just like, here we go. Ray Wheeler was a man who taught at Central Washington University. And he, in the 1960s, took, which is the right one, and that's a dirty movie or something. Yeah, that's right. You never know. So anyway, Ray Wheeler decided in the 1960s that he thought that we needed to do more in teaching articulation and teaching voicing and everything. And he thought the tongue moves. Well, we were all being taught back in that time, in the 1960s, which I was alive during, that we all thought that the tongue never moved. It was set in the mouth, and the tongue went up and said E, and the whole Marcellus approach, everything was just locked in there. He said, I don't think so. So he took movie x-rays of his throat. Well, have you seen these before? Okay. Can you all see the screen? Yeah. Except for your teacher. Now, what he's doing is showing you, can you see the tongue? Now, I want you to look at the back part of the tongue when it goes from high to low. You're going to be tested on this, so keep watching it. Now watch the rest. This is amazing. Okay. Now, what was the first thing that you saw? The back of the tongue moves for each register to focus it. Now, there's actually a physical principle behind this, and that's it's called the Helmholtz resonator. And what is it like when you're in the shower? Come on, you all do it. You all sing in the shower. Okay, so you're in the shower and you're singing, and you find one note that makes the whole shower stall go like that. You have just discovered the Helmholtz resonator, the resonating size needed for that particular note, or a volume or diminution of that size. The same thing happens in our mouths, our throats, and our lungs when we're playing. We have to have the right size vibrating space or it doesn't work. The other thing that he found was that he was trying to teach, trying to decide with that ee-ha, hee-ha, hee-ha, whether you could actually teach the tongue and motion and position of the tongue by just vocalizing. You can to an extent, but not very well. Now here's the test question. What opens your throat, E or ah? E. Correct. Yes, and E, and so when we're saying E, the tongue comes up in the mouth and the throat opens. When you're saying ah, it drops it down the neck. So I'll let you watch this real quickly again. Go. Okay, now, I have a doctoral student right now, a guy named Joshua Gardner, who won the International Clarinet Association research competition a couple of years ago as a student. I was really proud of him, with what he's doing with tongue motion now. And what he's doing now, because, by the way, this guy died. He didn't die of cancer, even though he had all these x-rays taken of him. He just died of a heart attack, but my student now is doing it using ultrasound. And where he's in he just did this presentation, man, it makes me jealous, at Yale, for all these scientists, I mean, what he was learning about tongue motion. And what he's trying to determine is actual syllables that we can use to teach articulation and to teach different things. I mean, it's really cool. But what he did was he's studying more this part of the tongue. This guy, Ray, was studying the back of the tongue. My student's studying here to see what goes on. So I'm going to show you a chromatic scale, and you will not believe what you're seeing. And so do you see him down in the corner there? Okay, he's strapped in, like, you know, people who break their necks and they put in a halo kind of thing. Well, he's strapped into one of those things, although they didn't put the screws into his head. But I mean, they tighten this thing, and then they put this thing underneath you right here. And this thing is what the ultrasound comes through here. And somehow the computer program, looks like he's having a baby. The computer program, now what you're doing is you're looking at his tongue from just like this, with the same angle that I am right now. So you're saying his mouthpiece is right there, and the tip of his tongue is right there, okay? Now watch what happens as he does a chromatic scale from low E to high C like that. Now, the tongue stayed up like this for a while until you got around, what was it, G or A, where it started to do this. Then got some funky wave in it. But anyway, so the tongue, we have to worry about a lot of different things with it. So what I do every day is I do a tongue study. And I do page 22, it's in there someplace.